you mentioned Grant, played with him in the Cape. Is there anybody else, maybe somebody that was a freshman that's going in a sophomore like Grant, that LSU fans should keep an eye on next year?
First meeting was like, yeah, we got 6-year guys like Vittmeyer and Bianco. I'm like, bro, I'm a normal senior. he goes, are you really? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I swear. And he goes, no.
I don't even know this one.
Do you know Hideki had a huge porn collection? See, I'll bring
Just made that up.
Nope. Google it. Google it.
What did y'all give him this morning? He is off the racks over here.
He asked me specifically for Vyvanse this morning. Didn't give it to him. I refused.
Oh, look out. Mikey is hit and down he goes. And he is not happy at all. That is the second time that Mikie Mahtook has been hit in this game. But this
Never forget it, bro. I had a 7 or 7:30 exam in the morning, so I walk outside.
Real life.
And I walked in I'm like walking in my car, and I'm like, damn, I could have sworn I parked over here. I'm like, what? Nah, maybe it's not here. I'm gonna go look around over here, bro. I walked like 3 parking spots, like in the direction I thought I probably parked. I'm like, fuck that. I know I parked right here.
Kids still doing that and out there playing for hours instead of just chilling on the video games is awesome to see. Anyway.
Chilling on the video games. Did you just age 55,000 years?
Well, we call them Fortnite nerds.
Yeah. Chilling on the video games.
I mean, chilling, like playing video games.
That's the way to say it, yes?
You think an old man would say chilling on the video game?
That's what you just said, yes.
You think an old man would say chilling?
On the video game?
On the video games?
Well, oh well.
You're an old man.
If you want,
Well,
I'm not a gamer.
You're getting older.
I mean, I guess
Mikey.
Good evening. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. It's Halloween. Happy Halloween. Today's Monday, October 31st. I always say October 30th, but it's October 31st. It's 31 days in October. That is Halloween.
Knuckle train.
All Hallows Eve. No, yesterday was All Hallows Eve, right? Is that how that works? I don't know how that works. But welcome in. Welcome back to the show.
Yes, that's how it works. It took me a minute to
We
realize what you were
dressed,
asking.
We are not dressed in costumes. We thought about dressing in costumes. We did not. We decided not to do that. Got a big show for you today because last week was a little bit light because LSU obviously was off. They had a much needed week off. Alabama had a much needed week off. I'm sure they needed that as well. Unfortunately, they get the same week off that we get. That's just the way the SEC has set this thing up. And this is the one year that I'm actually pretty excited about the way that we prepared during our off week.
Is it just the 1 year?
Usually.
I want to let you get through the Heineken headlines, but I do have some questions.
What?
In terms of how the bye week works and all of that stuff.
Yeah, we can get to that.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We
But
can
let
get
you
to that.
go.
We don't have
spurring my memory now.
We don't have a lot of headlines. We're gonna talk. Obviously, mainly talk is about Alabama LSU. We have Charlie Potter, who's a beat writer for 247 Sports for Alabama, coming on via video call at 6:15. In the past, with the bye week that Alabama would get the same weekend LSU would get, Nick Saban would do his thing, and Alabama coming off the bye week is very good. Our coaching staff, after Saban left, Les Miles and Coach, what? After the bye week, we just pretty much got out-coached every time against Alabama. So it really wasn't an advantage. It was more of a disadvantage to us. Now, I feel like we have a coaching staff that prepares and takes advantage of that bye week. What is Brian Kelly's record after bye week, Lloyd? You told me this the other day.
I believe it is 11-1.
11-1 after a bye. Well, over his last 12 years, I'm assuming.
Yes, yeah. It's very expansive.
Yes, but at Notre Dame.
Yes, that's a better stat to give.
At Notre Dame,
Notre Dame. Yeah, he's 11-1 off the bye.
Off the bye, which means he does a very good job of prepping.
I'd love to know who those opponents were.
Me too. But the fact that he's 11-1 off the bye is
Clemson.
Good. Let's just take it at that. He's good. Good
face
prep.
value. That's what we'll call it. Face value.
Good prep.
We didn't flip the card to the back to read the stats.
Exactly. We have Joe Burrow and the boys are on Monday Night Football. They're playing in Cleveland on Halloween. I can't imagine the characters that are going to show up in Cleveland. Jamar Chase is out, not on IR because he's built differently, and so they expect him to come back earlier than the
Pregnant?
No, what's that?
Prognostication?
Prognostication. That's what I was
Yeah,
gonna
you
go.
were just say pragmatic and.
I don't know what I was gonna say,
Yeah.
but
What?
I got there. We got there.
You have
Game
news?
3. What's
You have
that?
news?
What's that? No, I'm not.
Is
Do
it
not have,
baby on the brain?
do not have news. My
Jared,
sister actually,
baby on the brain?
I will say this, my sister is having her baby tomorrow.
Oh, see, it's in there
It's in
somewhere.
there somewhere. Game 3 of the World Series tonight. Series tied 1-1. They are back in Philly. Matchup is Noah Syndergaard versus Lance McCullers Jr. We're going to get into a little bit of that. I think, in my mind, I think it leans a little towards the Astros with McCullers on the bump. All he's going to do is spin the breaking ball, but we'll talk about it. Saints get an absolutely huge, monumental, necessary, maybe job-saving win for Dennis Allen. They seem like they got their swagger back, 24-0. Anytime you shut out a team in the NFL, that is a huge win. Not only did they shut them out, Oakland didn't get 200 yards of total offense, which Oakland is a very talented team. Like, they have been playing pretty good football. This was the one time all year they got their doors blown in, and, good thing the Saints did it. Brian Harsin, head coach for Auburn, out. See ya. He is
Surprised it took
replaced,
this long.
interim head coach is Cadillac Williams.
Is he really?
No
He is
way.
Cadillac Williams, is the interim head coach. That's pretty awesome. Also, new AD for Auburn is John Cohen, which don't know about that, but we'll talk into that. Like John Cohen, there's a lot of conversation on this move.
If you have this much controversy around you, then I would imagine that either you're going to be real good or real bad at your job.
I mean, listen, yeah, I think with all the stuff that was going on at Auburn, you probably needed a little slam dunk of AD, and I don't think he's that guy. But we'll get into all that. Obviously, it's LSU, Alabama. We're going to have a lot of conversation about that. Charlie Potter coming on. You had some questions for our good friend Jared Mitchell because he was a high-level athlete, played 2 sports at LSU, and he understands the bye weeks.
Don't sell
Go
yourself short. I won't sell myself short. All athletes in the room. Have you had noted? But I was going to say, how did they set up the bye? Like,
Don't ask me,
obviously,
ask him.
yeah. Oh, Jared, Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Thank you.
How can I be of service of you today?
How do they establish who has bye weeks when? Because it's always been, as long as I've been a part of this quote-unquote rivalry, it's always been LSU before Alabama, and Alabama decides
When did that
to
start?
do the
I
same.
don't remember
That's what
when
I'm
that
asking.
started. I don't know when that started. Did it start the whole time you were there? Did it start after like in 11? Like when did that start?
No, it was a thing when I was here, but I don't know exactly when it started. I don't know if it was a thing my freshman year as well. But I do remember it being a thing here. But I don't know how that's set up. You got to ask the
Commissioner Greg
the
Sankey.
schedule makers about that one.
Yeah,
I don't really
I mean-
know the answer to that.
I
That's-
think
that's what. Oh, sorry.
No,
That's
go-
what I
go
was
for it.
asking. Is like, I'd imagine that LSU requests we'd like to be off the week before Alabama.
Nah,
I don't think they get
That's
to
not how it
request. You don't get to request it.
No, you get your schedule gets served to you. You don't.
Yeah,
get to,
you don't get to request.
You don't get to like make the schedule.
I think
Besides the opponents, really.
I think they do it because the LSU Alabama game for so long, even though Alabama beat LSU majority of the time, majority of those games were actually like really good games, and they got very good viewership,
Yeah.
and so they just said, you know
It's
what?
all TV money.
Yeah, it's all based off. I mean, it's always based off of the TV money, but obviously, I don't. Well, I feel real blurry.
I got your idea. Well, you were a little blurry. I had to go. I didn't know
There we
which
go.
way we had to go.
But yeah, I don't know why they do that. I don't mind that they do that. I just wish Alabama didn't get that bye week as well. I wish we just got that bye week going in.
Well, that's what made me ask, is because Alabama does it. I don't know who was playing the first move. Like, LSU's gonna do the bye week now. Alabama feels like, we're gonna take the bye week.
But it's not up to the teams. That's
Okay, that's
it's up
what
to
I'm
it's up to
learning.
the, it's
No.
up to the commissioner. It's up to Greg Sankey in the SEC, whoever makes the schedules. But boy, tell you what,
It's getting big.
I woke up this morning and you just feel people start to talk. Really, all last week, feel people start to talk about it, and it's just LSU Alabama is what it was in 19, right? Like you're starting to feel a little bit more hype. The last 2 years, you didn't feel any hype. Like LSU really had no chance going into either one of those games. Their season was over with. There was really no like hope and hype kind of coming into it. Going into this game, you just feel like, okay, I still don't think a lot of people think that LSU can win the game. I think that a lot of people think that LSU can keep the game close and make it a good game. I just don't think that they believe that LSU is going to win, which that's fine. I think that LSU has the ability to win if Jaden Daniels continues to play the way that he's been playing, and the defense continues to make those adjustments the way they've been playing, and the way, if the defense can get off to a hot start early and not allow a couple touchdowns early on and get an early deficit, like, you have an opportunity to win, right? And you're playing at home. Now, LSU does usually play Alabama better on the road than they do at home, but you're still at home. It's a night game finally, even though they'd said, okay, we'll give you this night game and then give you the 11 a.m. game in Arkansas, but whatever. I'll take the night game at home.
We do have breaking news.
Oh.
Courtesy of somebody in the chat. Let me see.
Love
Matthew
that.
Bourgeois.
I'm going to go ahead and sit down during this breaking news. Let's see what happens.
World Series Game 3 has been postponed. There is a press release out by...
Oh, no. What happened?
Weather related?
That's what I'm wondering.
What does it say?
It has to be weather related. There's no way it's anything else, huh?
Can we make that a little bigger?
That's
There we
what
go.
we're doing. That's what we're doing.
Inclement weather.
Yeah.
Wow. So who does that benefit?
I don't know.
Where was it supposed to be played?
It's in Philly.
Yeah, that feels like
I would
inclement
imagine
weather.
it benefits the team that is down. Well, no one's down.
No one's
yet.
down.
No one's down yet, or we'll be down after this game because everybody got another day of rest.
Well, here's the other thing, right? So I think Aaron was scheduled to pitch Game 5, right? So now that Game 5, like, do you say you may have the ability to flip the starters now?
You definitely don't have to go a shorter rest.
So you may say, okay, depending on what happens in these next 2 games, because they play 3 games in Philly, do you want Aaron to start Game 5, or do you want Wheeler to start Game 5,
Right.
and Aaron to go back and pitch on the road in Houston? Or do you say, I guess the other thing, who can recover quicker, right? Who can play, who can pitch on three days rest if they have to on Game 7?
I'm about to say, because I was thinking, like, you really don't have to go as like a shorter notice, but Game 7, we're talking going on like 3 days rest, like that would still be a thing.
Yeah, no, it's going to depend on 3 and 4, obviously. Like if you have, but then you got Verlander. Verlander's got an extra day now too, and you have, so that's interesting. There's been a few postponements in the postseason this year.
Just close the roof.
Well, they're not.
Well, they're in Philly.
No, making a joke about
Oh yeah,
the Yankees.
Yankees.
Like, oh, my exit velo would have been this if we had have played at home. And it's like, no, it's actually just 50 feet shorter than anywhere else in the world. We're at the Polo Grounds again.
Speaking, but
Go ahead.
if you go back to the LSU game, I don't. It's so weird to me because I feel like we wait so long for football season to get here, and then like we're already at the LSU Alabama game.
It goes by so fast.
You're
Huh?
already into the November part of the schedule, which is really the contenders pretenders part of the year, right? So it's like, damn, how did we get here already? It feels like we just kicked it off a week ago.
And that's what makes this part so exciting, right? Because if you're an LSU fan, you're like, this went by very quickly. And I mean, I can remember, obviously we all can remember, but going like to Florida State, it feels like a year ago though. Where you're like, oh man, what are we doing here? And now what?
Go ahead.
What was that?
Crazy line that I just saw. Go ahead. Keep going. What you're saying.
I've never seen
What
you
do you
react
think
like that.
What do you think the Georgia Tennessee line's at?
8.5.
Nope.
What is it?
12.5 Georgia.
Wow.
Georgia's
it's moved.
favored
I
by 12.
grabbed it this
It has
early
gone
today.
It has gone from not. Oh no, it opened at 12.5.
Okay,
That's
that's
still crazy.
It's 8. You're right. It's 8.5 right now. It opened at 12. This stupid
12.5
website
it
confuses me
opened at?
sometimes. Opened at 12.5. Now that's what I was looking at. I'm trying to find the LSU game.
Charlie's here.
LSU game opened at.
17.5.
Well, see, this website has that 13.5. If you're sharps like me and Lloyd, and you bet it before the Ole Miss game 2 weeks ago, you get it at 17.5 like we did, and now it is at 12.5. And I have to think that it's probably gonna hover around that number probably the rest of the week. I don't
This
think
is
it's
where
gonna
we
go
are.
much. I don't think it's. Maybe 11.5, maybe, but I don't think it goes much lower than that.
And if you're extra sharp, you got that
You
17.5
got
and
the
you
6
teased
points
it.
or you got the 6 points in the middle.
Right.
Maybe you get both ends of it.
No, I don't. I hate middle end. It makes me nervous. It makes me do exactly what you just did. We're like, I don't know. I don't understand math anymore.
Maybe. All right. Charlie's in the chat. He's in the waiting room. He's on deck. We're gonna give us 30 seconds to regroup, get him situated, and we'll be right back. You're watching Miked Up, brought to you by Sterling Automotive, on this beautiful Halloween night.
Ooh. Spooky season. It's fake. Spooky season.
Welcome back to Mic'd Up. We're brought to you by Sterling Automotive. We were just chatting a little bit about the LSU Alabama week. Obviously, it's the much anticipated week of the season. The last couple of years, it's been a little bit lackluster, even though last year we played a lot better than we played really any other game that year. Really crazy, funky, weird things happen LSU Alabama week, but I'm not going to speak on the Alabama side. That is what our good friend Charlie Potter is. He's the beat writer for the Alabama Crimson Tide for 247. Charlie, thanks for joining the show, man. I appreciate you taking time out of Halloween and coming spending with us. It's probably a lot less fun than a Halloween party.
Yeah, no problem. You guys can hear me okay, all right?
Perfect. We can hear you perfectly.
Good, yeah. No, I mean, this always falls on the bye week, so I've learned to enjoy Halloween on Saturday because Monday becomes game week.
Okay, that's before we get into it, right? We had this conversation last week. Shouldn't Halloween be kind of like Thanksgiving, and it should just be that last weekend of October, right? Like it shouldn't be October 31st.
Right. I mean, I don't know the significance of the 31st. I'm not a Halloween historian, but kids are going to enjoy the weekend more. People that are going to go to Halloween parties are going to enjoy the weekend more. It just makes sense to have it on like Friday or Saturday.
I couldn't agree more. But let's get into the football talk. LSU Alabama is always a very anticipated, fun week of the season. The last couple years have not really lived up to the hype. There really wasn't much hype because LSU was kind of struggling. Years prior, it's kind of lived up. This year, it kind of feels like the momentum is building. LSU started the season off a little shaky. They've kind of found their stride. Alabama is doing Alabama things, minus the loss to Tennessee. What's the feel coming in of the team and the fan base of Alabama coming in this week, and what do they expect to see next weekend or this weekend?
I think there's a lot of intrigue. I mean, you mentioned the Tennessee game. Of course, you had the world is ending kind of moment for Alabama, but they've only had 2 undefeated seasons under Saban. Those weeks happen, and Tennessee's been playing great this year. But they were to bounce back pretty well against Mississippi State. I think people want to see them be more consistent in terms of running the ball. I think the defense played a lot better, but the defensive performance to me isn't just a signal of, they're going to be okay. Alabama's handled that air raid really well since Mike Leach took over. That hasn't been a problem. So this is going to be, these next 2 weeks really, with LSU and Ole Miss on the road, are going to be, I think we're going to find out a lot about this team if it's like a lot of the teams we've seen under Nick Saban, where they have that one hiccup but can bounce back, or if it's kind of like last year's team that just struggled away from Brian Denny. So I think the leadership, all of that, it's going to be a challenge just to see if they can kind of answer the bell. And if they do, then this team has the potential to compete for an SEC and a national championship. If not, then it's going to be, given the talent Alabama has, it's going to be a bit of a disappointment.
Part of Alabama's calling card over the last, I don't know,
God, how long
Saban
has it
years
been? Yeah.
has been
16, yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Don't rub it in. I mean, we know. You're welcome for your dad.
Oh,
it's
easy.
my real dad.
Okay. But the calling card has been like, obviously the defense has always been very stout. You've always had a very good front seven, but the secondary has always been extremely talented, right? And the receivers have always been extremely talented. It seems like watching from afar, watching as a college football fan, but not really in the middle of the Alabama fan base, it seems like the secondary has, left a lot to be desired, and same with the wide receivers. It doesn't seem like you have that big play, or they haven't had that big play ability from the receiver position. Am I right on my assessment? Am I wrong on my assessment? And what's the feelings of, obviously the fan base there, I'm sure, is very logical and reasonable about these types of things. So talk to me a little bit about that.
I think you're partially right. I think Alabama's been missing a number one wide receiver this fall. They don't have that first-round pick right now. I think some people thought Jermaine Burton could be that, coming over from Georgia. And he's played well at times, but hasn't been maybe the impact player that they had hoped. They've had some other guys step up. Younger guys have done so. Ja'Cory Brooks, going into his second year, I think has been the closest thing to number one receiver for Alabama. But they've just kind of been lacking in terms of consistency from that entire position. So that one I agree with. From a defensive back standpoint, outside of the Tennessee game, the secondary's played really well. They haven't given up a lot of explosive plays, and I kind of chalk some of that up to just being in the wrong position, maybe not making adjustments from a coaching staff standpoint. So any safety in the SEC is not going to be able to cover Jalen Hyatt on a consistent basis. Right. That's just how it is. And DeMarco Hellams is a great player. He's probably one of the hardest hitters in Alabama's defense. He's not doing that either. So I think the secondary, for the most part, has played well. Now we see Eli Ricks in the mix. I know that's probably a sore subject here, but played his ass off against Mississippi State and should be back in the starting lineup when they make the trip down to Baton Rouge. So I think if they can continue to just not give up explosive plays like they have in 7 out of 8 games, the secondary's been pretty good this fall.
What about, you talked about Eli Ricks. Obviously he transferred in. He didn't really get a lot of playing time early on. What was the reason why, if there was a reason why, and what contributed to him starting to play against Mississippi State?
I think it's a lot of things. Talking to Nick Saban today. But I think really the big thing is, coming off that injury, that's going to take some time. And I think that he came in needing to knock some rust off. He needed to add some weight. Then he hurt his back in the preseason. Mm-hmm. And let's be real. Alabama has really good depth at the cornerback position. Kyrie Jackson is a former JUCO standout, played well last year down the stretch. Terran Arnold's a former 5-star recruit that I think is one of the guys of the future of that position. So they have 4 corners that they feel really good about. I don't think it's necessarily so much so that Eli was doing something wrong as the younger guys were doing something right, and they were healthy and available. But after the Tennessee game, they chose to make a change, and that left people wondering, like, where the hell has Eli Ricks been this whole time? And I get that. I get it. I understand the optics to that. But you come in, you have to learn a new system, gain some confidence, and it looks like he's done that. I'm sure there's more to the story, but for the most part, I think it is more so to do with other guys were playing well, as less than it was Eli Ricks not being able to grasp a new defense.
Charlie, talk to us about, so you get this coveted transfer in from Georgia Tech. The feeling around Tuscaloosa going into the season, did you know that you were going to get this kind of explosiveness from Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield? Because he looks like a whole lot like a certain back that Saban had under him that transferred away from there that now resides in New Orleans.
No, I get that Alvin Kamara comparison. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because he's a versatile dude. He can catch the ball in the backfield. I think he leads Alabama in reception. So, yeah, he's cut from that same cloth.
Very slippery. Very slippery.
Exactly. I don't know if – I thought he was going to make a big-time contribution, but I think had they not added Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back room looked pretty good. Even though you lost Brian Robinson – Kamar Wheaton, a former five-star, transferred to SMU after not playing. It still looked like it was in pretty good hands with Jace McClellan, Boydell Williams, Trey Sanders, who really hasn't played at all this year. So when they added Jahmyr Gibbs, it kind of felt like a luxury pick. Now it seemed like a necessary move because some of those guys are still knocking off rust from knee injuries suffered last year. Both McClellan and Boydell Williams missed most of the season with season-ending issues, but Jahmyr's been everything and then some. They really liked him when he got on campus. He was able to go through some of the playoff practices. Of course, he didn't play or travel to Indianapolis or anything like that, but that as soon as he stepped on campus, they were pretty impressed with what he was able to do. And I think he's only built on that, and not only the versatility and the elusiveness, just the top line speed that he gives this offense has been much needed, and he's been behind Bryce Young and Will Anderson. I think there's a real argument to be made that Jahmyr Gibbs is Alabama's third best player.
Agreed, 100%. I have a small future on him to win the Heisman. I don't think he's going to get. I don't think he's going to get the love that he deserves. But what I wanted to ask you was, what's kind of the vibe around Tuscaloosa going into this game? Obviously, LSU makes a huge deal out of it. Certainly under Les Miles, we always take the bye week, and then we were talking about this a little bit off the air of like how the bye week works. But what's the vibe around Tuscaloosa and how it's not the Alabama that you usually get in terms of LSU fans. It's not the boogeyman if we're doing Halloween stuff. So I'm wondering, how do y'all feel in Tuscaloosa about going into this game? Because new head coach, it's not Ed Orgeron, it's not Les Miles. This is a new regime, and so it feels a little bit different down here. So I'm wondering what y'all are thinking.
I think the fans, it's probably a mixed bag. I think, like you said, LSU fans were probably expecting a different Alabama. I think Alabama fans were probably expecting a worse LSU, if we're being honest. And I think LSU's been a little bit of a surprise this season just because it's going to take time under a first-year head coach who you think it would. I think the players, they've adjusted well to that. But, no, I think I don't think the Brian Kelly factor is something that Alabama fans are losing sleep over. The two times Alabama played a Notre Dame coached Brian Kelly team, they won pretty handily in the postseason as well. So it was what was that, 2012 national championship game, and then you had
not my team.
But I'm just saying, on the big stage when Notre Dame's supposed to show up, they didn't against Alabama. So I don't think that's a factor in this. But no, I think that this is shaping up to be a more intriguing matchup. And you can say it's not your team. Alabama's not my team either. I'm not speaking for the fan base. I cover the team. I'm not that kind of guy. So it's just, I think from this standpoint, this is a game that they probably weren't worried about as much 2 months ago, and now it's more so.
Yep. Yeah, so speaking to that, maybe they're not afraid of Brian Kelly or a Brian Kelly team. But in Nick Saban's tenure there, this is pretty early for them to be coming into this game with a loss on the schedule. Is the feeling around Tuscaloosa a little bit kind of iffy? Because, I mean, realistically speaking, there's a very good chance if this game is lost, playoff chances are pretty much out. How does that feel going into this game? Because that's kind of uncharted waters, and it's not usual. It's not a usual thing in this game.
I mean, you're right. I mean, that you got to win this week and next week. I don't think they're worried about Austin Peay and Auburn. But it is a situation where they know that if they don't play up to their potential in Baton Rouge, then the goals for this season are pretty much squashed. Or I haven't looked at all the variables that can go into play in that, or tiebreakers, whatever. But if they know if they take care of business, they're in Atlanta. And I think that's been very much so discussed in that locker room. They're well aware of where they stand. But, I mean, heck, you had the years that they lost back-to-back games to Ole Miss when Hugh Freeze was in town. I mean, they've had losses in October. They usually come in November, though, and it's came against LSU or Auburn. But this has happened before. And I do think, though, with this team, a lot of talk's just been around the mindset. I know that sounds cliche and kind of dumb, but it is a situation where when they're saying things like anxiety played a factor in the Tennessee game, you just kind of wonder, well, what is the leadership on this team doing? What are these guys doing to even have that as an excuse? And so if you're going to go on the road where they've struggled the last 2 years, last year and obviously this year, losing games to A&M and Tennessee, if you're going to go into Baton Rouge, which will be at full tilt for the first time since 2018, it's going to be a challenge. That's going to be something where anxiety plays a factor. So it's dumb, but I'm more interested to just see how they respond from a mindset and approach standpoint. Because if they go out there, play with those nerves, and start committing penalties like they have on the road, then it's going to be tough to win this game. I'm curious to see how they kind of respond to that, what has been kind of a trend the last 2 years.
Let's flip it back to LSU a little bit. Obviously, LSU has kind of found their stride as far as the offense goes. The defense has made pretty good adjustments. In your opinion, right, in covering Alabama, what is the biggest challenge that LSU poses to Alabama, whether it be, Jaden Daniels kind of getting out of the pocket, or now the fact that he's able to throw the ball a lot better than he had in the past, or, defensively, the way we can, kind of bring some pressure with different looks with, our defensive ends, and then, hybrid linebackers and Harold Perkins?
Now, I think Jaden Daniels is kind of a top priority because if Alabama's secondary plays the way it has most of the season, you do your job, he can still, escape and make a big play. I think that if they can keep Jaden Daniels in check, that's a big check mark just in terms of getting Alabama in the win column in this game. Defensively, I think the pass protection has been pretty solid on Bryce Young. He's going to continue to do some crazy things back there because he's just a special dude. But I think for Alabama, they're going to, one, want to get pressure, but two, play well on the back end, and three, just not let him slip out and make plays with his legs, being Jaden Daniels. So that, for me, it's not where it stops, but it's certainly where it starts in terms of Alabama having success down at Tiger Stadium.
You spoke about Bryce Young, being a non-Alabama fan. I don't want to give somebody credit from Alabama, but it's hard not to appreciate the greatness of Bryce Young. I watch him. I watch Alabama games. I watch him play, and I catch myself tuning in just to watch him, right? What has been something like, you've got to watch him play for 3 years at Alabama, and, what are some of the things that I guess you're going to miss because he's not going to be there next year, and some of the things that, that we don't really get to see on camera? You get to see a little bit more behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, I mean, first things first, we don't get to see anything behind the scenes. They
Saban's got that thing on
Saban's got that locked down.
Let's make one thing clear: we're not getting any kind of practice access.
We're on to Seattle.
That thing sucks because he does stuff that's special in the games, but you can see that in practice too. And it's just he has that. He wants to make a play on every play. That's what got him hurt in Arkansas. I think they want to protect him from himself because Bryce isn't going to give up on a play. And I know some people are like, well, he could probably make a lot more plays if he just decided to tuck and run. He's got his eyes downfield and trying to make a play every play. It's almost kind of – Tua had the same problem. That's why he got hurt at Mississippi State and ended his Alabama career. But, those dudes are competitors, and he's a special guy. He's going to be able to keep a play alive with his elusiveness and his awareness in the pocket. And we've seen it multiple times now this season to where it looks like things are breaking down, and Bryce is standing back there for, 10-plus seconds and then finds a guy open downfield for a touchdown. He's a magician, a wizard, whatever you want to call it. And, yeah, I mean, the quarterback position after this year will be an interesting one in Tuscaloosa, and we'll see what happens. But they're certainly going to miss number 9 when he moves on.
How do you defend him? Like, what's the scouting report in your mind of how to defend Bryce Young? Because he is a wizard. He does run, get out of the pocket, and he's always looking to make the big play. But there has been some games where he hasn't played as good as others. And what's the way to defend him?
It's tough. You got to get pressure on him. You got to give him different things to look at, mix it up. You just change the picture for him because he's a smart player. He studies a lot. He prepares well. All that, cliche mumbo jumbo. He does that. He's that kind of kid. And I just think if you kind of take away what he wants or what maybe he thinks he wants, because he's the kind of guy too it's that take what the defense gives mentality. And you can tell, going back to the wide receivers, there's been times when a guy like Jermaine Burton's been open and Bryce has missed him. He's not perfect by any means, but he usually makes the right reads. If you can just kind of change it up on him and maybe confuse him a little bit, it's tough to do, but it can happen. That's the way. Again, getting pressure on him because he's not likely to run as much as, say, a Jaden Daniels or KJ Jefferson, somebody else in the SEC. So getting pressure on him helps, but just making it difficult and hard for him to know what to expect from a defensive standpoint. And I'm sure defensive coordinators think they can do that, and most can. It's just Bryce is a smart dude, and you got to kind of outsmart him when it comes to that.
And when it comes to the LSU, I guess Alabama, we've been struggling with whether it's a rivalry or not because LSU has not won a home game in a long time against Alabama. Obviously, 2019 happened, and even that was probably LSU's best team. And then you were able to see it was still a 5-point game. I'm kind of the opinion of where do y'all sit on this because Nick can't coach forever. He can't. He just can't do it for very much longer. So me either. And so I'm just wondering where y'all sit with you have a Heisman-winning quarterback, a running back that could probably win the Heisman, but what you're not lacking, but the only thing that separates former Alabama teams is the vertical threat. You get the guy from Louisville. You haven't seen him yet. You get Eli Ricks. You haven't really seen him yet until this past weekend. So does it feel like you're kind of, I don't want to say grasping for straws, but still trying to figure it out while you're trying to build a plane in the air a little bit?
Well, first off, I do think that Alabama's players, especially the current players, view LSU as a rival. Before this year's game, they probably viewed LSU more of a rival than Tennessee. That's just been a competitive game. Yeah, Alabama's won more often than not, but they've heard the stories about those games, and just they can look on Sundays in the NFL and see how many guys from both Alabama and LSU are on rosters. So I do think they view it as a rivalry game. But no, I wouldn't say. I don't think Alabama is grasping at straws yet. I think if they can get Tyler Harrell to be what they wanted, that would be a boost for the offense. I don't know if it's going to come this late in the season, though. We saw him against Mississippi State, but it was literally in the fourth quarter when Jalen Milroe was in at quarterback. Sure, they've had a couple weeks to prepare. Maybe you throw him out there, but do you want that guy's first experience in an Alabama uniform really to be in Tiger Stadium when all those fans just screaming down on you? I don't see that really.
It's at night, Charlie. It's a night game.
They know what's coming from an environment standpoint, and again, it goes back to the struggles on the road. If they can't get out of their own way and not commit just dumb penalties, really, then it's going to be a battle. If Alabama plays up to its potential, if they get guys just to play consistent football, catch the football, not make boneheaded mistakes, then yes, Alabama should be able to win the game. But this Alabama team, you don't know what you're going to get from that standpoint. They're saying all the right things, and if they execute, then yeah, they should win, but we'll see what happens.
Sounds like Saban's lost the stuff.
Charlie, I appreciate you taking the time out on this on Halloween to come and talk with us. Before I let you go, we do this with everybody that comes on the show prior to the game week. What is your prediction for this weekend score-wise? Now, I have a bet that I got at 17. I got the line at 17 2 weeks ago. So do you think my bet is safe, one? And two, what do you think the score prediction is for this weekend?
I'll be completely honest with you. I haven't even thought about a score prediction yet.
Okay.
Honestly, for me, score predictions, I don't know. I don't put
it. It's more for the listeners listening than us.
This man's nervous.
No, listen, I really I appreciate your guys' optimism about everything because it is a situation where if history repeats itself, it's going to be a long night Saturday. But I do think 17's a lot on the road. For him, what?
It's a long night.
I think if everything goes to Alabama's plan, then it's a long night for LSU.
Okay.
But 17 is a lot.
Yeah.
On the road again with everything. I don't want to be a broken record because then people don't want to listen. But with the way they played on the road, I mean, I think Alabama can win, but it would probably be 10, 12, 13 points.
And the only thing that gives me the only reason not the only reason, but the real reason for my optimism, and I think a lot of our optimism, is we saw what happened last year, right, with a team that wasn't very well coached and it was depleted and they just had nothing to play for outside of just pure pride, and then played extremely well last year on a team that was significantly better than them. I think the line was like 27 or something crazy like that. So that is the source of my optimism. I just feel like LSU is a little bit better coached than they were last year, and I think that they're in a better position. So that's why. Now listen, I didn't take them money line. I took them plus 17. So if we win, as long as you don't lose by 17, I win.
That's a lot of points. I think Alabama can win the game, but given what they've been able to do on the road, it'll probably be a lot closer than 17.
I appreciate it, dude. Thank you so much for taking time out of your night. And if you're gonna be in Baton Rouge this weekend, enjoy the festivities, enjoy the tailgating, enjoy the drinks and the food, and hopefully it's a good game. That's all we can ask for.
Are you coming in town? Are you coming to BR?
I am staying in New Orleans.
Okay, well you're being in Louisiana though. That's fine.
Yeah,
They're close enough.
That's fine.
it is. I mean, like
The second
I've
most
done it enough
dangerous.
now. Yeah, exactly. But it's just usually the wife comes with, and if she had a choice, we're going to New Orleans.
Yeah, listen, I don't blame you. Y'all go to Harrah's, throw some money down on the blackjack table, watch the game.
Maybe even Texas Hold'em.
Man, I appreciate you. Enjoy your night, and go Tigers.
Tell
Thanks for
Eli,
having me, guys.
Yeah.
Tell Eli I said what's up.
Later, man.
I wish we could talk to Eli. Believe me.
We're on to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
See you
man.
guys.
Have a good night. Boy,
He's nervous.
No, I don't think he's nervous.
I think he was.
I
I don't think he is.
I don't think he's nervous.
I feel like, and I don't mean this in a
Because he
bad
kept saying it.
I don't mean this in a bad way, but they've had so much damn success over there that they see it from an Alabama standpoint as like, if Alabama plays the way they'll win, and that's like, well, I mean, it kind of has been that way for the past 16 years.
To your point, LSU has kind of shot the bed whenever it comes to these games. Like they're into LSU was in every Alabama game. I feel like Mikey, what you brought up was the best point. Whenever it was,
Oh, thank you.
But like you said, they played for pride. Like LSU literally against.
That was the only thing they played for
That's
last
all.
year.
That was just straight up guts. Like they had no reason to be in that game. They had there was no reason to be interested. You should have gotten whitewashed. Like you should have gotten fucking blown out. But LSU showed up, and you see who's named captain, Mike Jones. He was in that game. Like LSU has the pieces and parts to be able to compete. But now you finally add somebody and a head coach who can
Scheme it up.
scheme and actually help you.
I'll say this. So it brings me back to the Tennessee game when they harped solely on execution and details, right? And then we get Charlie on, and he talks about how Alabama is in a spot where they spoke about anxiety in Tennessee.
Which kind of blows my mind a little bit.
It does, but that's the point that I'm getting to. Is I'm getting to the point where I feel like this game scares me in the sense of I feel like we may get that on the side of LSU side, right?
Like the anxiety part?
I mean, think about it. You listen, we all said it more than once. Like it's been, if you watch that game, that was not a 40-13 or whatever it was game. But that's what the final score was.
Right.
And we talked about execution and details, right? Like I maybe they could have coached it up better, but it's not like we missed that many details in a week of practice.
No doubt. And also to your point, is they did that on a Tennessee team where I don't think everybody was just quite sold on Tennessee yet, right? Like it was still Tennessee, and then that's still happening.
That's my point. Tennessee comes in, it's still Tennessee, but hey, here's our first like real big game, and it was a major flop
at home.
Now you it was major flop. Now you go after that what did they do after that? They go to
Florida,
Florida,
win,
boat raced them. They
Should have boat raced them.
It was.
Yeah, gave up a little trash touchdown.
Yeah,
Yeah,
trash. They boat raced them.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They play at home against Ole Miss. They boat
Boat
raced them, right? And then now, which both of these games are
Ole Miss second big game of the
yeah,
year, right?
yeah, you brought them in, but I don't know.
I get
just
it.
I
well,
don't
this one,
know.
And then you have the Bama game, and the
Yeah.
Bama game always
It's
has,
always a
it's
big
2
game.
weeks of hype.
It's always a big game,
It's
right?
2 weeks of hype, and it
And
builds
so
it
my
up.
worry
Yeah.
is that will you get the same kind of play hard but not execute because you're playing in a big game against situation.
And that's where you would hope the difference in the coaching staff comes into play.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like I
You
said,
hope.
Same coaching staff 3 weeks ago. There was
No doubt.
major flop.
But that's what I'm saying. You'd hope they would make that adjustment somehow. I don't know. I don't know what that adjustment is, as far as like if they did have some anxiety or if they were a little tight or whatever it was. I don't know if it's, hey, we got that out of the way and now we're back and we're playing well. We're going into this game better than we were playing going into the Tennessee game. I don't know what that message is, but I think that they have more ammunition as the coaching, like talking about the coaching staff. Coaching staff has more ammunition talking to their team about, hey, we didn't show up against Tennessee. We got embarrassed, frankly. But the next week we had to go on the road against Florida. Now, Florida's not what they usually are, but it's on the road at Florida and a team that felt like they were supposed to beat you, and you beat the crap out of them. Then we come home against an undefeated Ole Miss team who was ranked 7th in the country, and they were supposed to beat you no matter what the line says. That they came in here with the mindset of, hey, we're better than them, and you boat raced them. So the ammunition of motivation and saying, hey, listen, maybe that was a one-off at Tennessee, but we're not that team. They have that now. They didn't really have that going into Tennessee, and like I said, I am an eternal optimist.
But so it's a very optimistic take.
No doubt.
That's my
I don't know
worry
if
about it.
that's-
I'm not
Yeah.
being pessimistic. It's just
No, right.
if I
And
think
that's
about
fine.
the situation, that's what I'm like. Okay, that part
Yeah.
of it'll worry me.
And I'm worried about it too. I'm trying to get the other side of it and say,
Yeah.
Now maybe if
let me do that.
If there was a way to convince the team that they are not like that, they have more of a track record now to tell them.
Yeah,
that.
of
Now
course.
that's all I'm saying.
Of course.
I'm saying that's how they're going to do it.
Because you said boat raced.
Well, try
Whoa,
that again.
let me try again.
Try
Hold
that
on.
again. Slow it down.
Boat raced. There we
go.
But LSU was down in every one of those single games. Like every time they had
But
to
they've been
come
down
back.
all season.
Right, but
Now
this
we
would
can't
brings
do that.
me to-
Can't do that this
Okay,
week.
thank you.
So and look, listen. I
agree
bring that
with you
point
there.
up just in the sense because you're right. You're not wrong on that. I bring that point up
Thank
in the
you.
sense of just.
That'll be the first time I've ever
I
heard
think
that.
I think even in the locker room, like they looked at game one of the season as like, hey, bro, just put that behind us. That wasn't even real. That's not us.
Right.
Right. So then you put that behind you. You play well enough to win the games that were on your schedule leading up to the Tennessee game. Mind you, this is right after they just went on the road and came out with the win in a game they had no business getting a win in, right? So I think they felt like, oh, okay, we are that good. We are here. Here it is. Major flop. Then you go in 2 games where realistically the hype around you is not the same, right? We can all agree to that. I don't care what Ole Miss came in here as, how undefeated they were. You still felt like the hype around you wasn't the same. Then you go and you play well there.
Yep.
And you play well on the road, obviously, the week before that in Florida. So going into this game, when you are sitting atop Alabama in the C's in the SEC West.
Time for the West.
You're tied, but you're really sitting in front of them.
Yeah,
Right.
really, yeah.
Right. Like when you're sitting in front of them and people are like, oh, you win this game, people have to take you serious, right? I wonder if what you got out of the Tennessee game, if that creeps into
All right, no, I
this
get
week
that,
as well.
and that's very fair, and that's very reasonable. Like that, obviously, could happen. I would like to believe that they're higher on confidence this time than they were against Tennessee, but we'll see.
Well, I don't think that's the thing for me. The reason, and that's why I bring it up, because I don't think that they were not high on confidence. I think
Right.
they were actually feeling themselves a little too much.
Maybe.
You know, and
Right.
that's what I said. So now when you get back to that situation,
Yeah.
you know, where the people are starting to look at like,
What are you gonna
oh,
do now?
Can you actually perform?
Right.
Can you actually put the noise and the white noise and the talk and and all of the rat poison that the people have fed you about how good you are and how well you've played over the past 2 weeks? Can you put that aside and actually execute in a game where execution matters?
And that's where you're gonna make the money or lose the money if you're betting the game.
It's
Because that
November
is literally it. But here's the deal: You can go in there and you cannot get down 17-3.
No.
You can't get down.
No.
You can't get down more than 10 points. I wouldn't even say 10, but like 10 points. If you get down 10, you go down and you score a touchdown.
If you want to win.
If you want to win.
Not if you want to make it if you want to
Not
win.
if you want to cover.
You can't you cannot get down more than 10-0 in a deficit against Alabama.
No, and
I say 10-13. 17, you might as well just
To me, if it's 2 touchdowns, that's just a hard.
That's why I said
but
13.
2 scores.
That's why
Yeah.
I said 13.
Right.
And that's why I didn't even say 17. 13, I think we got a chance. I think.
but if you look at the
But
history,
you don't like. Let's just come out a little.
Well, hopefully they're not
Please.
listening. Hopefully no one listens to this part of the show as far as
Yeah.
well, the only thing I would say is that even when LSU in 2019, probably maybe the greatest college football of all time, like that team had pros
It was
everywhere.
unbiased.
Yeah, I didn't want to seem
Sorry.
biased, but
No
they
bias.
still won by 5. Like LSU only won
Okay,
by
I know,
5,
I
and
know.
that
But they had a
that's
good
what I'm
team
saying.
too, though.
Yeah,
Like,
they-
Yeah, no,
They're
no,
like
no,
they
that's
too.
what I'm saying.
They had a lot of guys with
you
scholarship,
have to
too.
You have to play a perfect game almost to beat Alabama every time. Tennessee did it already. If you're Nick Saban, he's like, this doesn't happen to me twice. It rarely has. So if you're LSU, and I feel like we're all kind of a little optimistic about this because like
Well, and here's-
the
go
way
ahead.
that Jane Daniels is playing, and it's like, okay, well, I don't really see the game breaker that Alabama usually has on offense, right?
I do. He's just
From
not
the
a
receiver position.
Yeah, it's just,
I do. He's
it's
just not a
Alvin
receiver
Kamara.
this year.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Here's the other thing I want to talk about too is he talked a lot about this Alabama team not being like any other Alabama team because they make a lot of the boneheaded mistakes. They have a lot of penalties.
Tons of
They don't
penalties.
do the things that you are used to seeing from a Nick Saban coach team, right? They do things that you see from the other teams that play Alabama, right? Hey, the whole narrative at Alabama is, hey, they're more talented than you. They're better coached than you. And if you play them at the game, the tighter the game gets and the deeper the game gets, the more likely it is you're going to be the one making the mistake and not them. And then once you make the mistake, that's when
He capitalizes.
that's when the tie game ends up being a 2-3 touchdown lead and it's over, right?
Blake Sims, TJ Yeldon.
Exactly. It doesn't seem like they are confident in the
me.
ability of this team at Alabama to do that, right? They almost feel like they are if you keep this close enough, they almost feel like they're the team that's going to mess up and have the penalty and have the turnover or do something stupid to where it extends a drive and like, damn. Now they're never out of the game because of Bryce Young, right? They're never in a position where like, damn, we're about to get boat raced because you have Bryce Young and you have Jahmyr Gibbs and you have this talented offense and you have Will Anderson. But the other guys, those 3 guys can't just win them the game. Now, if you keep it close, they can. But if the other guys are continuing to make these mistakes and give the opposing team, whether it's LSU or Ole Miss or whoever else they're going to play the rest of the year, the ability to extend drives and take advantage of you, that's going to be tough.
Now, let me know if this is a reach.
Okay, probably going to be a reach.
Probably.
If you're going to lead, if you're leading with
It's
that,
probably a
probably
reach.
going to be a reach. Let's go ahead.
It's a reach. There we go. Just go ahead, give me the reach.
Saban was not trying to play Eli Ricks until he had to. And now
That's not a reach. I don't think that's a reach.
What do you mean not trying to? Talk to me about that. Like, what do you mean, like, rephrase? I mean, not rephrase that, but go more in
explain it
depth.
more.
Yeah,
He's
go
a
more.
5-star corner. Then they got him for a reason, and it was a big deal. And then he doesn't play he has 2 tackles before last week
On special teams.
on special teams. Now, leading up to the Alabama LSU game, he gets a start against Mississippi State.
And so why do you think he played him?
because he knows he's going to need him for LSU Alabama.
So you just said he
7-on-7.
like saved him.
I think
That's what you're saying? You think he just
or
saved him
or
for
there's
the
two
year?
ways to look about it, right? Like it's either he wanted to save him and not expose him. LSU already knows plenty about him.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right.
I think Eli lives in the
Eli's
doghouse.
world.
That's what I was gonna get. So I don't want to talk
But
about.
that was going to be my point. Is that he needs
I
him
think
now.
that's what you were trying to say.
Yeah.
I think he lives in the doghouse. I never
But
played
he's
for
a
Saban.
cute ass puppy.
He didn't. I think Saban
I never played for
want to play
Saban.
him.
No, I was about to say I never played for Saban, but from what I have heard, is the way he runs his program is literally like the best players will play. And what I mean
When
by
I
the
need
best
'em.
players is not necessarily the most talented, the ones that can get the job done, right? And I think when they ask you to do something, it needs to be done the way they ask you to do, or they'll just get the next 5-star talent
No
to
doubt.
come in and do it. Like they don't care
No
about
doubt.
what you came in as, right?
And-
And so I think Eli.
But he went and got him.
I know, and I think as he came there, I don't know. just from what I know of what I've heard about it, I think he lives in the doghouse, and I think the doghouse has kept him off the field.
And here's my take on. I don't know the kid. I don't want to badmouth. I'm not trying to badmouth. I'm just going based off of what I've heard from other people and from people who have been here to coach him.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that there are some issues maybe that happened while he was here. I don't know what those issues are. I don't know the extent of those issues. I was just told there's maybe some disagreement or
Rubbin's racing.
What's that?
Rubbin's racing. Like we're knocking heads a little bit. And
What did you call
Why
it?
do we have to go there? Like I've never heard that phrase in my life.
I don't even. What did you call it?
Rubbin's racing. Like you got to bump a little bit. Dale Earnhardt. You got to bump a little bit to get where you
racing?
want. Rubbin is racing.
That's first for me. I ain't gonna lie to
Okay.
you.
Well,
No, this is a popular phrase.
I've never-
I spent time in Kannapolis, North Carolina, which is the birthplace of Dale, in Charlotte, North Carolina,
Rest in
which is
peace.
the home
Hall of
of
Fame.
It's the home of
NASCAR Hall of
NASCAR.
Fame.
I've never heard that saying in my life, so I don't know where you got that from.
Never heard that.
But I'm gonna just go
One
ahead and
time.
say, yeah, okay, you got
And
it.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying
That's
you're
the
wrong.
reach he was talking
Yeah.
about, right?
I'm not saying you're wrong because that very well could be a second.
He
I've
said
never
that
heard it.
shit like it's fucking like it's said.
And now
every
listen.
day. I'm
Now-
like, huh?
Listen.
I didn't know I was going against this man. He's like, oh, actually, I have a doctorate in NASCAR.
He's got receipts.
I've got receipts that I never even thought I was ever gonna have in NASCAR.
You know, hey, which way do they turn?
Left.
Don't tell Dale.
I don't get that
I
either.
don't get that either.
I'm not a NASCAR fan.
Well, he
That's
went
it is.
straight.
Oh, hit the wall and died.
Yeah, he died.
I mean,
Oh my
Jesus
God.
Christ, you're
Moment of silence
you're so
Oh my
dark.
God.
for Dale.
All right. So, back to Eli Ricks. What I was saying is there are some issues that happened here. Whatever happened, he left. He was not happy. He didn't want to be here. He was an All-American. 2-year start. He played very well here. Didn't want to be here anymore. Left. Gone. Right? Goes to Alabama. They want him. From what it seems like, those issues that were rumored to be happening here started happening there. And Nick doesn't take that shit. And so Nick was like, well, hey, you know what? We have other guys that we're going to play in the secondary, and we're going to play them when they're going to get the first crack at this thing, right? Because I trust them. They're doing what they need to do. And, okay, great. Well, I think what happened was, all right, these guys haven't really been living up to what they were supposed to be, and our secondary was struggling a little bit.
I mean,
Let me try this guy out. Let me put
yeah,
him
but
in there.
I mean, truth of the matter, like let's be honest about it. Like it was while Eli was here, it was Derek Stingley, and everyone knew he was literally next up, and
Yep.
everyone knew his prospect status was
First rounder.
It
Yeah, the
was
whole deal.
almost as high as what Derek's is. So when you have that guy leave here after he played a lot here and he goes somewhere else and he isn't touching the field, I just get the feeling a lot of the things that I heard could possibly be going on there as to why he hasn't been. And look, you know, the injury stuff he talked about too. It might be what's going on a
Maybe,
little
yeah,
early.
but-
But
and you
I
know
just
what?
feel
Maybe
like
part of it-
a lot of people, right, wrong, or indifferent, they get that kind of talent on the field no matter what.
No doubt. And now he's back on the field, which sucks because now he's playing against us. Or does it not suck? Or is it the best thing that could happen to LSU because
I love it.
because our friend and the guy who everybody has been waiting to break out and have his big moment in Kayshawn, or does that say, hey, you know what? You left us. You didn't get 7. I got 7. You're probably going to be talking a little shit on the field, and maybe this is what he needs. Now, he's been playing a lot better as of late. I'm not saying anything about his play. I think he's been playing fine. But this is when you get alpha versus
I
alpha.
absolutely
elevate that, baby.
love that Eli Ricks is playing.
Me
this
too.
game.
For the
Kayshawn,
same? Okay, thank you.
For Brian Thomas, for every single one
Because
of them
they
that's out
know
there.
he's going to be starting, and
because
they
they
know.
all want to rub it into his face,
No doubt.
and they all want to beat him. I think it puts
Please
a little
shit the
extra
house.
on there. I want him playing in the game.
Me too. I think it elevates the play of R7.
If there's anything about Louisiana, it's petty. And this is,
Oh, but this isn't petty though.
isn't
This
petty.
is
This is more about motivation.
this is
That's what I'm saying, like-
quote unquote. You know, the
Now-
iron sharpens the iron. Right
Now,
here.
what happens after the fact if
this man
Kayshawn,
wearing 7?
if Kayshawn goes out and gets about 200 with 3 tutties against him, the pettiness comes after that.
Oh, I don't think the pettiness is gonna come in between plays.
The pettiness is going to be like Jair Alexander and Stephon Diggs. That's the pettiness. Now, that was a little bit more of that was more about, that was real. That was about
I think this is real.
no doubt. But I think this is what we needed to see.
But
You're gonna see the best.
This is
I
the
think you're gonna see the
narrative for
best
sure.
Kayshawn. You're gonna see the best Kayshawn Booty of the year this weekend because of Eli Ricks.
He finally feels like, oh, okay, bet.
Yep. You're trying.
Gordon.
You're putting a guy out there that thinks he's better than you. And any elite athlete that has ever been on the field, going head up to somebody else who thinks that they're better than them, their game gets elevated. And if they don't, the guy's better than you. Right? That's just the way it works. But nobody's going to admit that, so they're going to play their ass off to prove that he is not better than me. And I think that is a great thing for LSU.
And that's where I think.
And, sorry.
No, go ahead. I was
And
gonna say the same thing.
Eli loves to play press man. That's a recipe for getting absolutely torched like Trayvon Diggs did with Jamar Chase.
What's that on your head? I'm gonna take that.
Yeah.
But and I also think this is where kind of the home field advantage for LSU. They haven't won, or LSU hasn't won at home against Alabama since 2010.
I don't know. I
I
don't
feel
know.
like that's right.
I don't know.
I looked it up.
Did we win 10 and 11?
Back to back.
Okay,
But
so
it
then-
was at Alabama 2010.
Was that 11 was at Alabama?
Yeah, I was
So
there.
10 was at home then.
But that was the last time, like, because you think about 2019,
Yep.
and you think about the wins, you think about the 9-6.
LSU should
But
have had probably
LSU
2 or 3 more.
They haven't won at home in a long
They
time
should have had
against
2 or 3 more.
Alabama.
They had some bag breakers.
And now you have Eli Ricks coming back to.
Should have won in 2009 when Patrick Peterson
Overtime.
had the interception.
It was
Was
the
that
overtime
the
loss.
interception, Peterson interception game?
Oh no,
right?
that was on the road too, right?
No, that was at home. He got 2 feet in on the
No,
side.
it wasn't. 9 was on the road. It had to be.
Oh, 9 was on the road, 10. So
It was Patrick
If
Peterson.
11 was on the road, 9 was on the road.
that's true.
I think it was 8.
It has
Oh,
to be
8. That was
But that was the
his freshman
overtime
year.
loss.
Yeah.
That was
Here.
his freshman year.
Yeah,
That's
that
when
was-
they won
Ricky
their
that
first
was-
national championship.
Ricky John Francois.
Yeah, that was
He
where
played one play that game and
was-
blocked it.
That was when I
extra
knew my
point.
football
Field
career
goal.
was over.
Why?
I'm not saying that lie.
Okay.
Trust me. That was when I knew my football career was over.
Why don't you jog over to the baseball field?
That's an
No.
off-air conversation.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's
Okay.
definitely an off-air conversation.
But I think
It's a
that's
hell of one.
I think that's the storyline. I don't think that's a storyline people are going to talk a lot about, to be honest with you. Right? They're going to talk about Eli Ricks coming back. He's going to get his ass booed by the fans. Like it's going to be tough. But I don't think people are going to put it together about him and Kayshawn because I don't think they're not rifting. Right? They don't have.
But now it is.
I don't
They
know.
don't hate each
They
other.
may talk about it.
But they may talk about it. But I think that's the matchup to watch because I think that's something that everybody's been waiting to see, that Ole Miss Kayshawn where he had 300 yards receiving, and last year before he got hurt, and you kind of saw a glimpse of it towards the last few games. I think this is the game. This is the game.
Should be a beautiful coming out, like breakout party for him.
It's gonna be a big Josh Williams game too, and not for the reasons you think of like rushing. I hope he gets a lot of yards rushing. I hope obviously that's important. His help with Will Anderson is going to be a huge thing because he is the best pass blocker that LSU has in the backfield, as far as I can see. Right? I'm not at practice, but
You're
it
right.
seems like he's the best blitz pickup guy. He's the best blocker out of the backfield. Will Anderson is an absolute freak show, and he's impossible to block. So we're gonna need as much help blocking him as we can. I think that how they scheme the help against Will Anderson is gonna be a big, big, big thing this weekend. You agree?
I agree.
And you have
Whether it's help, whether it's literally letting him run free,
Right.
to getting to a spot too where now you can help him because you've slowed him down by making him not let him run free. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they approach blocking him. It'll be interesting to see the early game chess match and how these two coaches are, what are they planning on? What are they scheming on? What are they trying to figure out and stuff like that. I think it'll be very, very interesting because once again, this is a new regime of it. We haven't seen it. We saw the Les Miles. We saw the Ed Orgeron. Now we're getting to see a new regime of getting into the same.
Both defensive coordinators make really good halftime adjustments too, right? Pete,
under game.
I don't think it's an under. What is the over-under? Let's see. What is the over-under?
We can't look at our line because it was so long ago.
Over-under is 58.5. Wow.
That's low.
That is low. Wow.
And when you bring
How do you get there?
Oh God. 58-0.
31-28. That's 59.
That's 59. We're covering. And then you add
Ooh,
17
which
on
is
top
crazy
of
because
that.
I think I said I think last week I said
we're gonna get Jack to go back. I don't forget our Jack made us
I
the
think I
predictions 2
said
weeks early.
I think I said it was I think I said 31-27.
But you went the other way.
What?
You picked Alabama.
Yeah, I did, but I'm just saying as far as for the I just told you I was trying to stay true to my early season prediction. That's all. That's where this is coming from at the end of the day.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah, I didn't get spurred a moment and get into my feelings and just jump into the other side. I'm trying to stay true to it.
I'm happy for your engagement.
Appreciate you.
Do we have a picture of
You're a little
what
late.
Joe Cool dressed like today? I hope he dressed something cool.
No, yeah, I
Anybody
think he
know?
said he was going to dress up. He said something about he didn't realize it was Halloween.
Yeah, he doesn't know what.
I love that. I love that.
I mean, he
I
should be
love
like
that.
Michael Myers.
I
Like,
love
The
that.
man doesn't have a.
Everybody dressed up as Michael Myers. Oh,
But
Joe
that's,
Burrow
but that's
costume.
what he is. He's a stone-faced killer.
People are dressing up as Joe
Joe
with
Burrow.
the jacket. Yeah,
That's cooler than dressing up is to have people dress up as you.
no doubt about it. I don't. They haven't shown. Maybe they haven't showed the video of him walking in yet or something. I don't know.
Why did you?
I'm just on Twitter.
The tweeter.
The Twitter. Man, this game's gonna be so much fun. I'd imagine Wednesday people are gonna start tailgating, right? Like the RVs are gonna start piling in Wednesday. I would assume Wednesday night.
Today.
No, like they're that lot before, like if you're going down Skip Burtman Drive, like from
Party box to-
from River Road, before you get to the practice facility, that big parking lot where the RVs park, that's where they're gonna start getting put because they're not gonna let them they're not gonna let them park on campus until Thursday night. Right?
Yeah. And that's what goes to my greater point is about LSU not being able to.
Also got tickets today.
Did you?
Such a great text. I'm working on field passes.
Oh my God! That they give this
Hardest-
man an inch, he takes a mile.
Hardest game to get field passes for.
Well,
now.
no shit. Scott Van Pelt was barely out there.
Working on it. Working on it.
that
There's gonna be
shows-
so many people on. Like it's gonna be 50. I mean,
Spectacle.
you remember how it's been. It's gonna be 50 people deep on the sideline.
It's gonna be like old Alex Box.
You ain't gonna be able to move.
Have you ever? I'm not imagine you have, but when you've seen those like LSU hosting regionals when they just had fans on the field at Alex Box.
Oh, the old Alex Box.
Yeah, when it's like standing room, it's like this guy's in the batter's box. Like
That's
what
what
LSU is.
That's what made old Alex Box so good. Is because you're on top of each other.
Your coffin corner.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But
Awesome.
then I feel like this I would hope it would be a difference because do you remember what LSU, I don't know what year it was, but whenever Jamal Adams' first like defensive series gets a pick and the place erupts. And that's what LSU is missing because they've never really had that chance at home. And it feels like this, like that's not an even playing field because Alabama would probably man for man better. But it's a chance for LSU to be able to finally like settle the difference 6 o'clock at night, Tiger Stadium. You can't even get tickets and you're in the fucking
got
elevator.
tickets.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. But you had to ask. Like,
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's easy for you to get them. This is a this feels like a first time.
This seems like you could. This seems like if you win this game, right? And I don't want to overstate, but I don't think this is overstating. If you win this game, I think this accelerates the timeline of what you expect from LSU in the Brian Kelly regime, right? Everybody says 3 years, right? Third year.
Coach, you don't have to win this game for that.
I agree, but I think that if you do,
If you
me
win,
and you are on the same page.
If you win this game, that's not even. If you play this game well, I think people expect it to be. Hey, you come next year.
For sure.
That's what I think.
We think that way. I
But
don't know
because this game is the measuring stick for basically not only the league,
it always has
but
been.
always,
Always.
like for at least one spot into the college championship too.
Yeah.
So like, if you win this game, you're almost I won't say you're shooting to it, but like I would love to know each year the winner of this game. What is?
I mean,
I think it's every year.
If you win this game, you're in
I don't.
the playoff.
Has there been a year where
National
the
championship
team,
game. No,
a team?
never.
That's my point.
Now,
So-
obviously, majority of the time is Alabama.
No, but
yeah.
that doesn't matter. But that's
Right.
my point. Like that's what because the other times it hasn't when it's LSU, there they are.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's when you winning this game, like you're pretty much in that situation.
Now-
so I think with You don't have
Put
to win this
yourself in the
game.
driver's seat.
You
You
put
don't
yourself in
have
the driver's
to
seat.
Dale.
You don't
Now-
have to win this game for it to be an accelerated expectations of what's going to happen here in the future.
Now,
Where
as
this
much of a
place is.
dumpster fire is, I don't want to get off the Alabama thing, but you said you put yourself in the driver's seat. I completely agree. You're going to be in the SEC championship. I completely agree. As much of a dumpster fire as A&M has been, and now they lost to Ole Miss, right? They started a freshman, 5-star quarterback. The only guy they started all year that looked like the guy that Jimbo wanted at under center. This man threw for 338 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Now against a bad Ole Miss defense,
Right.
I get it. They still lost. I get it. But, that's something that now they allowed A&M allowed 390 rushing yards to Ole Miss. LSU gave up 117 to them. So I'm not saying that A&M is going to beat us, but I felt more confident going in before last week when they didn't have a quarterback, and now this kid. That was one game. Maybe film comes out, you understand, but that's neither here nor there. That was just a little side note.
At this, I don't think I ever thought I'd say this about the A&M game. At that point in the season, with the way their season has gone in today's landscape of college football, I truly do wonder if the team will be lost at that point of the year.
Yeah, right.
I really
How many
do
more
wonder if
transfers-
these
how many
guys are
more-
going to be playing very hard.
How many more players are going to transfer by then? You know what I mean?
Transfer, thinking of transferring, just wants to get out of it healthy. I don't know. And I'm not saying that I don't expect it to be some, boat race one way or the other. I'm just saying, I'm not very sure how much of those guys will really be bought in at that time.
See,
And I don't think I ever would have said that before the year.
Well, see, I would go the opposite way in terms of now
Hey,
they
but you
feel
know
like
what?
they maybe found a guy because they
Maybe in the sense of if they start sitting starters now and playing guys that are under them.
Well,
But
listen.
if the same guys are pretty much playing,
Jimbo ain't going anywhere.
yeah.
right.
So now he may have found a freshman guy who can be there for
Right.
three years and be his guy and build around that. That's great. But you got to keep the other guys around him in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now they're gonna have a Yale practice on Friday before the game. It's right after Thanksgiving, and they're gonna be real hyped up, and that's how maybe
They gonna be
bring that
yelling.
energy.
I just wanted to say I don't want to get ahead of the Seggies, but my fault, not my fault. Did you see?
You're going Michigan.
No, not yet. I'm saying this was like a 1B for me. The Texas A&M
The guy in the
Halloween
stands.
spooky.
I didn't see it. I don't want to see it.
I'm gonna show it to you.
No, please don't.
I don't want to see it. I thought you were going to talk about the guy in the stands who was doing the body, flexing body male, the fitness model poses. You didn't see that guy from A&M? Okay. I thought I was going to say, which was pretty cringeworthy
good?
as well, but.
Was he in shape?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
He was jacked. But,
I mean,
he was doing the whole,
I was
breathe.
probably
He was doing the whole thing. I don't know how you do it, but he was doing it.
we'll bring it. I'm gonna bring it in.
How was your bets this weekend? How were they?
I missed two parlays by one game. Of course, South Carolina. What happened? What are we doing?
Letdown
Beamer
game.
ball.
Letdown game.
Will Levis is not him.
Tell you what, I watched the Florida-Tennessee. Was it Florida-Tennessee?
Florida Georgia line.
Was it Florida-Georgia?
No, that's
Line?
It's
What?
Georgia Tennessee. This week.
No, it was Florida. It was
He
Florida-Georgia
said
last
watched with an ED.
week. It was Florida-Georgia last week. I'm an idiot. Tennessee played Kentucky. I watched that game.
South Carolina played Kentucky.
No, they didn't.
No, they
Who
didn't.
did South
Tennessee,
Carolina play?
Missouri.
Kentucky played
That makes
Tennessee.
it even worse.
It does make it worse.
Kentucky played Tennessee.
Yeah, which that was the only game I bet. I lost. I lost. I took the spread. I took the plus 11.5 Kentucky. Obviously, that was not close. But watching the Florida-Georgia
Oh, you
game,
lost
that
that
was
one
the
big.
most intently I was watching a 22-point blowout because the spread was 23. And I thought 1,000,000% that it was not going to happen, and it happened. And the best thing that happened was I bet Penn State. And I thought, because I'd put so many bets in, right? Right before, I thought I had Penn State plus 13.5. So I'm watching this game and I'm like, oh my God, Penn State they just screwed me. Like they just.
Oh, you
they,
texted. That's not the words you said.
They gave the game away. I was like, oh my god. And then I chalked that up as a loss. And I'm going back down and make sure that I had the other spreads. I'm like, oh my god, I won that. It was plus 14.5, and they won by 14. They lost by 14. Now they were winning. I thought they were gonna win. With the hook gonna be, I thought they were gonna win, and then they all of a sudden gave up 4 touchdowns in like 7 minutes, and I was like, whoa. Actually, they gave up 3 in like a minute and a half. That defensive end for Ohio State's unbelievable, by the way. Maybe the best game in the history of defense. Did y'all not watch the game?
No, I didn't watch that one.
This guy, as a defensive end, he had 2 sacks,
I did. I know what you're
forced
talking about.
fumbles, 2 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown.
5-star.
It's a defensive end.
In one game?
1 game. It was the most.
4 quarters.
And honestly, I think he did it in the second half.
You're trying to tell me he did that in one game?
It was the most impressive thing. What's this guy's name?
But I say, well, how do we not know his name?
I'm looking him up.
But that's what, to Mikey's point, this is the first time he's really gotten, it feels like, considered action. He's a 5-star that goes to Ohio State. You haven't really seen him. He picked off a pass like from the line of scrimmage. He palmed one, and it was just like, oh, that's where that guy went. You know, and it was one of those things where it just.
Of course, his name is
5 stars going to be 5
Is
stars.
DeAndre Hopkins that thing?
His name is
He
very
Odell
hard.
that
It's
thing?
JT
It's tough.
Give it to me.
Tumialo.
Give it to me. What?
Tumialo.
JTT?
JT Tumialo. That's how I'm gonna say his name.
But if you
Is
want
there
to
some
bring
silent letters in there?
if you want to bring it back to LSU,
Samoan name.
Okay.
that's
Tough.
why it's kind of the Harold Perkins factor, where you're like, he doesn't probably know the defense as well as he should.
He's
but
a freshman?
That's what game changers do. Yes, like
a-
you have to put players that are
That
good
guy's a
out
freshman?
there.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to find his actual stat line.
No, Lord, I'm talking about the
Harold
JT.
Perkins.
No, the JT guy. He's a freshman.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Like,
No, I'm talking the guy from Ohio State.
That's,
He's a-
I'm agreeing with you. It's not JT Daniels. He's like an 8th year fucking. Jesus, we're going to break.
We don't have breaks.
Legs are hot.
No, I didn't see him play at all. I didn't realize.
What were you for Halloween?
A couch potato? I don't know.
All right.
I didn't do anything.
Let's see. Okay, so he had 6 total tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, 2 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, and a touchdown.
Coach, he might get drafted off of that highlight tape alone.
It
He's a
was.
freshman.
No. When he gets there.
Oh no! His first interception was in the first quarter, and his second interception was returned for a touchdown. It was less than 3 minutes left in the game. It was.
It turned
Oh, here you
on a
go.
dime.
6 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 1 pass breakup, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery.
Okay, hold on. Charlie Potter, who we just
I'm giving away my curtain call, but whatever.
He's filling up the stat sheet right there.
Charlie Potter just said he's not an Alabama fan and he doesn't, play either side. This is his header.
Well, he has to, you know.
I mean, it plays a part.
We'll get him back on. We'll talk about
Hey,
it.
so he lied to me.
We'll talk
Yeah, of
about
course.
it.
And he
Not
lied
the
to
first
you.
person that's ever lied to
We'll
you.
talk
And he
about
lied
it,
to
Charlie.
you. Oh.
Charlie, we'll talk about
hey,
it.
what's y'all's opinion? What happened? What do you think? Give me your opinion on the Michigan thing.
What Michigan
That's a
thing?
good question for him.
Yeah, the guy who got jumped.
It's too much.
I
Way
mean,
too much.
listen, I get the fact the guy went into your.
It's kind of a fail too, because I need the security to kind of keep.
Yeah,
him.
maybe this guy was talking shit, but
Parted.
like, you're gonna jump this man.
He
That's
didn't
what
have-
happened. They
He didn't have
jumped
a helmet on either. I don't know what was said or what
And
was
they
done.
bodied him.
I don't know what was said or what was done. The security needs to be better. If you got 2 opposing teams, let alone 2 rivals, going into the same tunnel or some like that, just can't be a thing. And if it is a thing, then they can't be. I need them to be separated in a way. And obviously that didn't happen.
On a different note, remember when everybody wanted Mel Tucker here, and we were like, no. Boy,
What's the record?
did we dodge a bullet?
What's the record?
I don't even know. Not good.
I don't think they're 6-2.
He had 1 good year with a bunch of transfers. That was it.
And look at what Kenneth Walker Jr. in Seattle. Somebody traded for him.
He's killing it. I picked him up off of
He
waivers,
got him.
baby.
I ain't got
That's
him.
what it was.
With the ad button. You didn't have to claim him.
I ain't got
Picked
him.
him
He
up.
got him for $3.
$3.
Nothing on it.
Free 99.
Free
It
99.
don't matter because my team stinks anyway.
You want to trade him?
Now we just riding the wave right now. We're in that middle part of the season. The team's
Yeah, I got to get hot again. Speaking of getting hot again. Speaking of that. Saints get hot. Saints are back.
Let's not call
No,
it.
they
back,
got a tough
but they
now.
look good.
They looked really good. Now
They look good.
Listen.
That was Andy.com.
He played great.
He did.
That's what you asked him.
That's all you want to do.
There is no
Not three
debating that. He
picks.
played great.
He played great. 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, threw for 230 yards or 40 yards, whatever it was. Alvin Kamara had 9 catches for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. Plus, he ran for another 60 and another touchdown. Like, that's it. Our defense gave up not a point, not one. Our best cornerback didn't play. Everybody else played great. Like, didn't give up a point. You gave up less than 200 yards offense in the National Football League against a team who was getting paid a lot of money to play.
Not paid a lot of money against a team who got some dudes on
Dudes.
offense. They didn't do that against
Josh
like some
Jacobs has
nobody.
been balling.
Some dudes on offense.
You have Devontae Adams,
1 catch, 3 yards.
negative.
Was it
Negative
negative?
points.
No.
Somehow.
I think it was like 1 catch, 3 yards or something like that.
So you have one of the best receivers in the league, maybe arguably the best wide receiver in the National Football League, not going against one of the better cornerbacks in the league. 1 catch. You have Josh Jacobs getting nothing. You have an offense.
Who's been on a heater too, by the way.
Right. He's been balling out. You have an offense with Derek Carr at the helm who has been together for a little while and like have been very, very successful.
Easily above
average. Have been in every game they've played. Less than 200 yards of offense. Didn't score a point.
Point.
Zero.
Do you feel like
Goose-egg.
that was a Dennis
Humpty
Allen save my job game? Because
Yeah,
obviously there were
possibly.
some rumors.
Possibly.
I don't know if they're
Hey,
If the wave- if
let's
the
talk about
wave-
this. Sean Payton was in the building that week.
Oh no, cuckolded.
There's no way. I don't.
Sean Payton. They said Sean Payton was in the building last week leading up to the game.
There's no telling how that thing could shake out in the offseason. But
He's not coming back.
I do think
I don't think so either, but he was there.
Dennis Allen, I think he was able to shut his door a little bit at the end of the game and be like, oh, all right, now if we can just
He's
keep
talking
this
about
ball
Pete.
rolling, I might be okay.
Also, another thing that I love to see, Peyton Turner, 2 sacks. Huge. That's a defensive end that everybody was like, oh, this guy was worth the trade up to get. Like, was he? He's been hurt. Monster when he's playing, but he's always been hurt. 2 sacks. They had 4 sacks that week. I mean,
That's what you expected though when you put Dennis Allen in that position. Like, okay, Pete Carmichael, you take over the offense. It feels like you've called plays before. I know Sean Payton was like
A
pretty
little
much
different sauce, but all
right,
from,
but you
same
know,
aisle.
yeah, you know what's exactly like. Do you want communion or red wine? Like, I'll take both. Yeah. But whenever it got down to it, it's like we're starting Andy Dalton at quarterback. Like, what's the end game here? Because now you don't have a first round pick, so then the Alvin Kamara trade rumors start, where it's like,
which came out. I feel like they just came out. Of
oh,
thin
they're
air.
unsubstantiated for
Yeah.
sure, but that goes to show.
Well,
where,
it didn't come out
where-
of thin air. It came from a team that was 2-5 and currently sitting at last place.
Yeah, right. No, I get it.
I mean,
get
and
why
you got
they
a
came
player
out.
that's that good. Like, of course, people are going to inquire about him.
Yeah, I mean, I get why they came out.
I mean, let's tell the truth. We lose that game, they're 2-6.
Yeah, right.
Still sitting in last place.
You're right.
in the
Maybe
league.
they unsubstantiated as far as like.
no way you do that.
Yeah, but then you lose the game. Okay, hey, we have 2 days.
Like-
we have 2 days. Let's
Yeah.
get on the phone.
Like, if you're sitting at 2-6, think of what you got to do the rest of the season to be good, right? Like, just let's
every
say,
division
let's say if you
game.
were going to finish the year at 10-7, you got to go 9-1.
Is this
That's not easy to do.
Is this an overreaction? After this, I want to get to the seggies in lieu of Halloween. I want to, I'm not gonna go all the way till 8. I don't think tonight.
No, I didn't realize that the neighborhood in which you live is this is trick or treating time.
Yeah.
I would have respected it more. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why. It's tough, but it's okay. I'm good. I have my in-laws and my wife, and them are giving.
I know. I
up
feel bad. I didn't know that. Katie told me. And I
You
was
got to
like,
play Halloween music when you go back down
Yeah.
the street
I
with the
did
windows
wa-
down.
I did watch Halloween for the first time. The first one,
How was
Michael
it?
Myers,
How was it?
1978. I actually got a little scared.
Man, that's
and
cool,
a
man.
bunch of titties in it. There's some boobs.
Nice, man. I never seen it.
Never
I don't
mind,
plan
I'm
on
not gonna
seeing
get that. There's another. Yeah.
What?
But what was I talking about before that?
it. You said something about Halloween. I don't know.
No. I said in lieu of Halloween, we're gonna go a little early, but I want to say something before that. We were talking about the Saints and we're talking about trade rumors. Oh, is it an I got there. Is it
Did it
an
yourself.
Is it an overreaction for me to say this? Make this comment, right? Saints sit at 3-5.
Correct.
They are a half a game out of the division lead, right? Because, no.
They're right there.
They're tied with the division lead because the Bucks.
Bucks lost.
They're 3-5 though, but the Bucks beat us. They have the tiebreaker.
But you get to play them again.
We get to play them again,
Atlanta
right?
has
So
the
we're right
tiebreaker
there. But
against
we have the
us too right
tiebreaker
now,
over the Falcons. Anyway, my whole point is with
How
yeah.
massive is that Falcons win?
I know.
Huge.
First game of the year?
Oh no. Yeah,
Yeah,
huge. Falcons tried to give it away again. The Panthers, they gave it away, and the Panthers celebrated.
They didn't
and
want it. Yeah.
Didn't want it. They didn't want it. But anyway, is it an overreaction for me to make this comment? Next Monday, Monday Night Football, Baltimore comes to New Orleans, right? First primetime game of the year, really. They played Thursday night, doesn't count. Monday night, first, all eyes on me. This is the last game of the docket of the week. You're playing Baltimore, who's 5-2 or 5-2, I think. I think they had a bye week.
Jaden Daniels Sr. You're talking about Lamar?
But they come into the Superdome. Do you think that game right there is that going to make or break the season? If the Saints go out there and they repeat the performance, I'm not saying shut them out, but go out there and ball out, play really good, win at home on Monday Night Football, and now go to 4-5. Does that put them in a position the Saints are going to make they're back, or if they lose now they're 3-6? Seems like with 9 games left in the 9 games played and 8 games left in the year, making that 3-game deficit up is going to be pretty tough. Is it a stretch to say that this game is the make or break game of the season?
I do. I think it is.
Okay.
I think it's a stretch because I think maybe.
I'm all about headlines, so.
I think maybe in the locker room that could have been last game. After the second players
Shut out.
meeting. Mm-hmm. I think on the outside of the locker room looking in, I feel like you got to get to 500 and or above 500 to have a make or break situation, right?
Yeah, but the way the division's set up right now, the way my bank account's set up is the way the division's set up is every team's struggling, right?
I get it,
but
but the division's not going to end the year at 7-9. Somebody's going to push.
Well,
somebody's going to push
it'd
away.
have to be 8-9.
8-9. My fault. One more year.
Yep.
Forgot it's 17 games now, not 17
Kangaroo
weeks.
court.
Anyway, the division's not going to be won at 8-9. I would.
You think the division's gonna have a winning
Somebody's going to get to that winning spot. I really do think so.
Doesn't feel like it's Tom.
record? It doesn't. They feel like
I don't
they're
know.
in a
Maybe.
bad-
I don't know.
They're in a bad spot. It
They're not
feels.
in a
It
great
doesn't.
spot.
It doesn't feel like the Panthers can sustain what they're doing in the last couple of games. Now PJ Walker has been playing very good football. They seem like they're re-energized. They're playing very well. DJ Moore is balling out ever since Matt Rule's gone. I don't know why Matt Rule just didn't like him or something, but he's been playing very well.
He's had
I just
Baker as a
don't think that
quarterback.
they can sustain that level of play throughout the course of the year, and I could be wrong. So the Falcons don't really scare me. Panthers don't really scare me.
Bucks don't.
The
really
Bucks
scare
don't
me.
really scare me, but they're the scariest of all the teams.
And
right?
I feel like people probably in Tampa are saying the same thing about the Saints. They're like, they figured out that, to your point, not a lot of shutouts going on in the NFL.
No.
It's not like college football. It's not where it's like, oh, man, they got them. It's hard to shut a team out in the NFL, and that was as good of a game plan as the Saints have rolled out.
And here's the deal,
year.
this is-
And, sorry.
No, you
And
go.
And you get Tyrann Mathieu rolling. That's all you needed is him to get. I know he's already had one pick, but that felt like a different one. Where it's like, we're all kind of clicking right now. Andy Dalton, not the guy you want, but you also get Alvin Kamara rolling. This is what the Saints were supposed to look like. And now maybe Michael Thomas comes back. You get Jarvis Landry back. They're built for the back end of the year. It just takes a minute to get there. And Saints fans
Well,
are
here's
used
the
to
deal,
that.
right? So you're going through that stretch, right? And
It
you
was bad.
you went through a bad stretch, right? But the teams that you play, they beat the Raiders 24-0. Now before the year started, everybody was very high on the Raiders, that division, the whole deal, right? Then you had the Ravens at home. Now you have to go to the Steelers. Now Steelers aren't playing great football, but you're going to Pittsburgh to play them there. They're going to play good defense. They're going to do something. They're going to be in the game somehow or try to stay in the game, right? Tough road game. Then you have Rams at Saints. Now Rams look like they may have figured some things out. This past week, they looked a lot better. They threw the ball around. Now the 49ers have their number. Yeah, the 49ers have their number. Then you got Saints at 49ers. So this is
The McCaffrey edition is the difference.
that's the difference maker for them.
He threw for a touchdown, ran for a touchdown, and caught a touchdown.
It's just, listen.
Tell me that wasn't worth whatever you gave
It's
up.
NFL, so every game's hard. But you don't have. Steelers. I wouldn't say it's a gimme, but Steelers, Browns are gonna be tough. And then you got your division opponents. Like, you don't really have any gimme games that you're like, damn,
Browns
we're
are going to be tough to. I mean,
That's when you got Deshaun back.
That's
well,
what I was
Deshaun will
gonna
be
say.
back
They're
at
going to
that
be
point.
very lubed up.
Oh, Jesus.
Skin won't be hard.
Oh, my God.
Jesus Christ. Okay, well, on that note, we're going to go through the seggies.
This
right?
game won't be hard. Wow.
Go through the
I couldn't
seggies.
say it.
I kind of gave you already my curtain call.
I give you mine.
My curtain call is brought to you by, I was told by my boss to not mention his name anymore. Mention my name. He said this should be give yourself some pub, but I'm just going to say,
how it works.
yeah, curtain call is brought to you by Assured Partners.
And if we want to do sponsors,
And
Mikey
not my
Mahtook.
fault. Not my fault. Is brought to you by.
it's bought by.
Brought to you by Dozy Place. We have these last two segments, so let's do the not my fault first. Lloyd, that is you. Action.
Oh, ready?
Yep, there we go.
Wow, that's all it took.
I guess not.
No,
I'm trying to find
Filibuster?
it. Yeah. What was it?
I don't know.
not my fault is what it was.
You said you had two of them.
I did. Here it is. And it is. We talked a little bit about the NFC South. We talked about the division. We talked about Tom Brady.
Yes, we did.
Antonio Brown still is out here taking shots at Tom Brady.
Yeah, what's the deal with that, man?
That's
called
what I'm
CTE.
wondering. My fault, not my fault, or curtain call, whichever one you want to give him. But this man is unhinged, and I'm wondering if Tom Brady ever gets to the point where he puts this under the rug and I might need Antonio Brown. Like,
Wait.
would he be able to bury the hatchet for these things that are
To
happening?
bring Antonio Brown back?
Yes.
No.
I mean, they live together.
He ain't coming back.
This is above Tom, which ain't really many things above Tom anymore. But he ain't playing there anymore.
But
they
Tom-
won't allow that.
I just realized when you sent me on Instagram the celebration
What celebration?
with the Philly.
Oh yeah,
I meant to say best celly, and I didn't realize the autocorrect is cellular.
yeah. I saw that too. I was like, that's gotta be autocorrect.
Yeah.
And my other curtain call, or not, actually, this is my not original.
Okay.
Not my fault.
See, now it's coming back to you.
Yeah, it did. Because you mentioned him. Went to Ole Miss, wide receiver, wasn't playing. Did the dog celebration while it was Ole Miss versus
Balled out.
Mississippi State. Balled out. DJ Moore does it again where
DJ Moore didn't go. Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
He
yeah,
did the-
yeah, he did.
you did the
I was
DK.
thinking AJ Brown and DJ Moore did it
Yeah.
at the same time. Right?
Wait, excuse me. Time out. What?
You don't remember when DJ Moore did the pea and dog celebration against Mississippi State?
Oh, okay. I
and
see
they
what you're
missed the
saying
extra
now.
point. He
Yeah.
doesn't. He doesn't do the same celebration, but takes his helmet off as he scores what should be a game-winning touchdown for the Carolina Panthers. Takes his helmet off. They move the ball back again, and they miss the extra point, causing the Panthers to lose. This man has done it twice.
Also, kicker missed another one in an overtime to win the game too. So,
Yeah.
but listen, as much as you don't like to select that rule, the penalty rule, it's the rule. You've
Well,
got,
he knows that that's the rule.
Yeah, you've got to be more disciplined in that situation. So that is definitely his fault. Unbelievable play to score a touchdown, though. Like, I was an absolute
Both of them were.
dime from P.J. Walker. He got behind it, threw it down there, caught it, touchdown. Unbelievable. Keep the composure, run off the sideline, then take your helmet off. Penalty, kicker missed it. You're in the NFL, though, probably should make that kick.
And my other point of this is, why don't they just make like a place to celebrate off the field? Like, you can, if you're on the sidelines, you can do whatever you want. Why don't we have a team
So
that
you know
has
what's
a
crazy?
designated
You know what's
celebration
crazy
area?
about it? I actually saw like the replay of it, and don't quote me on this. Actually, quote me. I really don't care. But I do think the letter of the actual rule is you can't take your helmet off on the field of play.
He was technically off the field,
I'm
right?
pretty positive he was out of the back of the end zone by the time the helmet was actually off.
Yeah.
I'm not on the field.
But
So
technically, he was
it's-
still.
I know what they're saying. He's still like in the field, but he's not on the field to play. I don't. It's my thing is this: if
Here we get there.
no, because look, I'm serious. Like if the wording for like roughing the passer has been changed to where they call it the way they do, well then you should be calling every rule to that.
Well, and here's
to
the
that
deal,
wording.
I
So if
don't-
he's off the field,
I get it.
then it shouldn't be called.
I just want less. I don't want any more rules that are subjective to the umpire. I mean, to the refs, because they stink at that.
Well, I mean, apparently I don't think this one's very subjective.
No,
So if he is off, then
Yeah.
it shouldn't have been called.
You're right.
Oh, and curtain call too.
Here's a curtain call brought to you by
Mikie Mahtook.
Mikie Mahtook from Assured
Mikie
Partners.
Mahtook and Assured Partners.
Not for me, from Assured Partners. So
But-
I'm not paying it. So.
But the umpire that had a perfect game.
Oh yeah, that was gonna be another one until I really dove into JT stats, and I was like, damn, okay, I gotta get this guy the curtain call. Shout out, perfect game, first perfect game since they've done it. And not only was it a perfect game, perfectly called game from an umpire, it was his first World Series game.
Yeah. I did.
Oh,
see
where do you
that.
go from there?
Back to game 4.
I mean, it was unbelievable.
Speaking of,
Need more of
we
that.
made the bets on Friday. Shout out Phillies. I bet first 5 on Aaronola. They're down what, 5-1.
Oh, they
Come back.
Oh, we
Come
had-
back. I had half a run.
I didn't take it. I don't know if you took it, but we talked about it on Friday. We said take the over on the first 5.
Take the over on the first 5.
Take
I
the
just-
Phillies.
And then I would have taken the over on the first 5, and then I wanted the. If you'd have bet Phillies 5 when they were down 5-0, it was plus 2,000 to win the game. Crazy. My curtain call. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
My curtain call is so funny because we sat there and talked about him for a long time, and I was just hoping because I didn't put it in the doc. But I was like, please don't say it. Please don't say it. Please don't say it. And nobody said it. So my curtain call goes to the number 2 minutes and 19 seconds and to the Saints. That was the first time that the Raiders crossed the 50-yard line in the game.
Was left in the game.
Left in the game. 2 minutes and 19 seconds in the fourth quarter. Left in the game.
Wow.
It was the first time the offense crossed the 50-yard line.
First time that's
Sounded
happened
like
since-
the LSU game in
Oh,
2011.
You just
And yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So
I love that.
Hey,
My curtain
but-
call is to the Saints for that because that's impressive.
And then my curtain call is obviously JT Tumalalo.
what is it?
I don't know how to say it.
You just speed
That guy hates us.
JT Tumalalo.
Wow. JT.
If you didn't hear, if you weren't listening 15 minutes ago, 6 tackles, 2 sacks. This is a defensive end, freshman defensive end for Ohio State. Basically won the entire game for them. 6 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 1 pass breakup, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. So he forced 3 turnovers and was able to have 3 turnovers, turn one of those turnovers into a touchdown all by himself. Shout out. I mean, that's unbelievable.
That's the stat stuffer right there.
That's an unbelievable stat.
Well, and they needed it.
They needed it. They needed every bit of it. Great show. Great Monday show on Halloween. I appreciate if anybody was listening. If not, you can listen to it tomorrow. We'll be back live from the studio Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m.
We gotta name this joint.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We can't rush into that. You know what I mean? It's got to come organically. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate y'all watching. Appreciate y'all liking and subscribing. If you haven't liked and subscribed and you're just listening, please click that like button. It helps us out, and therefore we can help you out by giving you better content, giving you more. We have more
Drinks.
resources. Yeah, you know. Also, we'll be live from Uncle Earl's this Friday, 4:30 to 6. We actually have a conversation with them because I think they have something going on. We're gonna make it work. We
We have to do something. It's
yeah,
Alabama.
I mean, we gotta make it work. Love y'all. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of the Halloween. Don't eat too much candy. We're mic'd up. We're brought to you by Sterling Automotive. Please like and subscribe. We are all on all podcast networks, Spotify and Apple. Enjoy the rest of your night. Second curtain call before we go. I'll shout out to my sister. She's having her first baby tomorrow morning. So I will be up.
Baby.
What? What
They've
was
done
that?
Team Neighbors.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And if there's any drugs in your candy, just throw them this way. I'll take it.
All right. Well, have a good night. You're watching Mik'd, brought to you by Sterling Automotive. Peace.